Good morning. It's finally Thursday, lakini I'm really waiting for Friday because unajua wiki inaenda pole pole. June is, stretching.
Kwanza nasikia Friday kuna bash flani.
Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. This is Morning Cafe. Today is World Sickle Cell Day. Of course, a day that has been set aside to just celebrate those with sickle cell and to know, your genotype. Kama wewe nani na nani, how should you join?
You should not.
How you should not and how you should.
Incidentally, it's also the International Day for Ending Sexual Violence in Conflict. Now you realize there's a lot of conflict in the Middle East and other areas. There's a lot of rape being perpetrated as well. So it's according to the UN, it's the International Day of Ending Sexual Violence in Conflict. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Karibu sana to Morning Cafe. I've been counting days. Na nimeona imefika 189 days to Christmas.
To Christmas.
Yes.
That is like 192 to the end of the year.
195 to the end of the year.
All right, my name is Anne Odida. Tuangalie magazeti. Tunaanza na The Standard. Thug bosses.
How chaos was planned in the city is a big one on the Daily Nation, and this, I think, is the biggest discussion this week. Na kuna picha ya jamaa fulani pale. Sijasema ni yeye, lakini ako pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele.
The rule of deny.
Sio mimi.
Taifa leo, nchi ya chemka kweli.
Why Raila team is no longer at ease, and interestingly and curiously so, he's been very quiet.
People Daily, IPOA order news titans on top corps.
Matters Business, Equity Corp NCBA hold 1.75 trillion shillings land as collateral. Watu wamechukua loan na wameka tuma title deed pale. On State of the Nation, we'll be having this three gentlemen, Dr. Peter Mbaye, who's a Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP. That's the Democratic Citizens Party. Ngujiri Wambugu, former MP in Nyeri Town, will be with us alongside Wilson Sosion, who has served as SGK and UT and also as a member of the National Assembly.
Tukivuka border, Uganda, Daily Monitor, over 500 Ugandans trapped in Israel war. Now, government plans more than 500 Ugandans, mostly students and a few business people, are believed to be trapped in Israel, even as the government last evening said plans to evacuate students stuck in Iran were in advanced stages.
Something similar happening to a number of Kenyans in Tel Aviv especially, and I'm made to understand that there are no flights being allowed out of Israel at the moment. So any Kenyan who's there for business or for probably school or even medical purposes is unable to move. I don't know why we are not talking about this in Kenya. Ugandans are actually feeling that this is a big discussion for them.
Na siasa wameacha kando kwanza.
Kama kuna Waganda 500 huko, you can believe how many, you can just imagine how many Kenyans are there.
Other stories here, guard sacked schools, HR officer dead. And of course, don't interfere with the Electoral Commission work. BAMBA tells security. On the top strip, teacher seeks leniency over attempted sodomy.
Where?
A 43-year Oki City primary school teacher accused of attempted homosexuality and indecent assault of a schoolboy during a trip has admitted to the offense and is asking for leniency.
Really?
Crazy world we live in. Daily Monitor.
Still in Uganda, the New Vision 2026 polls, EC, that's the Electoral Commission in Uganda, warns on vigilantes. And I think this is something very similar to what we've seen in Nairobi. People just coming out, gangs, hired goons coming out, organized, obviously. So they're being told, stay in your lane. Biakabakama.
Biabakama.
Biabakama tells army and police. Unajua kule Uganda, jeshi na askari polisi wanakosana sana. Na wale askari polisi wakileta fujo, jeshi wanaingia huko wanawatandika sawa sawa.
Imagine a Kenya like that.
Hapana. Kuna shida zetu nyingi. Natafuta Museveni kwenye front page
Yuko?
He must be there, but oh yeah, he's there on that photo.
Yes.
But to be honest, do you think I'm being unfair?
How?
On the New Vision, there's always a picture of Museveni.
Always.
On the front page, doing something very obvious.
Today is urging leaders to audit PDM impact.
He's waving at a crowd. That's what he's doing on the front page. There's nothing else. He's just waving at a crowd. Why did we need this whole photo of the president somewhere just waving at a crowd? And then the story is that Museveni urges leaders to audit PDM impact. Anyway, that's the news in Uganda. New Vision starts series on Citizens Manifesto is another story there. And the court holds NUP party activities. You see what happened in Tanzania when the court halted Chadema party activities. You are told you cannot get involved in politics for now. They've done the same to Bobi Wine's party, NUP in Uganda. Court holds NUP party activities. How? Ni kama koti kuja iseme sasa ODM
Haiwezi.
Hakuna kazi mtafanya sasa. Well, that's big news in Uganda. Benny Hinn ameenda to preach in Kampala.
He was here some time back.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
alafu mtu akaenda kasema aombewe apate husband. Sijui kama alipata.
Maybe alipata, lakini kuna rumors at some point alipata. Wakaenda akakuwa low key.
Maombi ni kama ikufika.
Maybe iko, she's just living a private life maybe.
Okay.
Tukienda kule Tanzania, gazeti la Mwananchi, Tanzania yajibu UN tuhuma za utekaji watu kupotea. Balozi Abdalla Posi aeleza kwenye Baraza la Usalama msimamo wa nchi kuhusu tuhuma hizo, asema ni uzushi na uwasilishaji wake si sahihi. Aeleza mazingira ya uchaguzi akigusia kwa wa Oktoba, polisi nao watoa taarifa. Gazeti la Mwananchi.
No, we have evidence kwa karatasi. Hata wa Kenya wamekuwa abducted kule Tanzania. Yes. Alafu unaenda mbele ya hiyo. Kwani unafikiria watu wanafikiria namna gani? Huyu waziri huyu ni balozi Abdalla Posi. Situletea hata yeye. Tunajua mengi kuliko anyway, acha tutuache. Ni kwa jirani huko si kwetu.
East Africa is our business. Wanasema ingawa madai hayo bado hayajathibitishwa kwa uchunguzi huru, Tanzania inazichukua kwa uzito tuhuma zilizotolewa na za mateso, ukatili wa kijinsia na ukiukwaji wa maadili. Kauli ya jeshi la polisi ya Tanzania ni kwamba linapopokea taarifa hizo huanza uchunguzi kwa kukusanya ushahidi kutoka vyanzo mbalimbali ili kupata ukweli wa taarifa ya nini kilichotokea. Huwezi kusema moja kwa moja bila ya kumpata wala ushahidi. Sasa wanasema kina Boni walikuwa wanadanganya.
Huyo ni mkuu wa polisi, wanasema ni kama lazima tutachunguza. Ni vile vile wanasema hapa Kenya. Tunachunguza hayo madai, lakini kwa sasa alijigonga kichwa akafa.
Samia azindua ujenzi shule 103 za amali. Wawakilishi misamaha ipungue, vyanzo vya mapato viongezwe. Kule juu, matarajio ya wananchi daraja la JP Magufuli, daraja hili linafunguliwa leo. Na finally Majaliwa asisitiza tafiti za afya, aonya ulaji wa chipsi mayai.
Watu wanakula chipsi mayai sana kule kwenye kani. Mpaka wanaonywa wanaambiwa wachini sasa. Chipsi mayai mmekula sana.
Nutrition.
Kuna utafiti umetokea.
Gazeti la Mwananchi.
That's interesting. Still in Tanzania, proposed tax on retained earnings prompts debates. Now, because this is what we should be having even in Kenya, a debate around the budget process, the finance bill. We only have 2 weeks, actually less than 2 weeks to the end of the financial year. Like in Kenya, we're not talking about that. At least in Tanzania, they're talking about it. The government's proposal for 10% withholding tax on retained earnings as part of broader strategic tax adjustments has drawn both applause and scrutiny from industry experts and lawmakers. So the proposal is expected to increase revenues by 130 billion Tanzanian money, according to Finance Minister Mwigulu Nchemba. Kule wanazungumzia budget. Sisi nafikiri tuko na shughuli zingine za rungu.
Yes. Hata si shughuli zingine, just distracted.
Tanzania engages US over possible travel curbs. Tanzania is among the 36 new countries, including Uganda. Interestingly, Kenya was not affected by that, that were added on a new list by the US for visa bans. So Tanzania, Uganda, even Ghana. I don't know how Kenya survived that one. But they are discussing to see if at all they can get a reprieve from that. Why Mwanza is poised to rival Dar economically. Mwanza is poised to give Tanzania's economic hub Dar es Salaam a run for its money in the next decade. Mwanza iko pande nyingine huko kwa Lake Victoria, si ndio? Thanks to billions of shillings being pumped into infrastructure projects, the region's strategic location and the vast economic potential of Lake Victoria. We should be thinking the same way. If Mwanza can rival Dar es Salaam, then Kisumu could just as well rival Mombasa very easily. MTLF to highlight infrastructure's development catalyst is another story there. Na pale juu maswala ya siasa lazima wazungumzie mama. Samia launches construction of 103 vocational schools. Even as we make fun of Yoweri Museveni on the front page of the New Vision, hata ni kama Tanzania wanapenda kuweka mama kwa front page. When you come back to look at our pages, the president is not there. At least that one I can tell you. He's nowhere on our front pages.
Huku ni uweke ama ufungiwe kama Gwajima. All right, let's take a look at the hali ya anga across the region.
Kabla hajatufungia kanisa. There's some cloud cover that I can see coming our way. Mostly around the Lake Victoria region, western part of the country. You can see mawingu ilikuwa imepotea ikaenda kule, sasa ni kama imeanza kurudi hivi. The Lake Victoria region is currently covered with some huge heavy cloud cover, a lot of cloud cover within Uganda. It's coming closer to the western part of Kenya, but Kenya inakaa ni kama hatuna nini. I don't know how much that will affect us. Probably we take a look at Kisumu, which is closest to Lake Victoria there. And they say, yes, light rain and 18 degrees Celsius, quite a bit of cloud cover, highs of 25 degrees, which is for Kisumu, that's pretty low. 1.7 millimeters, so yes, a bit of light rain. Precipitation, 40% chance of rain, so not bad.
Yeah. Turkana, there you have it.
The northern part of the country. 26
degrees in Turkana, feels like 27, a cloudy day. Precipitation here, 2.1 millimeters, likely to rain, highs of 32 degrees in Turkana today.
Let's go to the coast. Maeneo ya Malindi, 24 degrees, which is a bit high, mostly cloudy also. Chances of precipitation quite high, 27 degrees, which is a bit low for Malindi. Kule wanafikisha a bit, maybe 30, 31. 2 millimeters precipitation.
Kitui, 18 degrees in Kitui, feels like it. A cloudy day as well. Highs of 26 degrees. Precipitation in Kitui, 0.6 millimeters. Huku kuna kwanga kumekauka at least.
Kumekauka.
Leo watapata something.
All right, back in Nairobi, a bit chilly, 15 degrees Celsius. Cloudy day today. Highs of 23 degrees. Which is also a bit cold. It's a bit chilly. Na unasikia baridi, kijibaridi cha asubuhi kitafika hadi around 18 degrees at 10. Sasa ile tuna expect jua itakuwa imewaka. Precipitation 0.4 millimeters, which is the lowest we've seen across the country. I think even Kitui will get more. So yes, that's the weather situation.
All right, 9 minutes past the top of the hour. Traffic inakaa vipi?
Nione kama upande itakubali.
We have it. Tunaipeleka mbio.
Tunaipeleka mbio. Tutulie.
She's just a girl.
Oh, really?
Basisi? She's just a girl. Director
amekwama.
Anataka abembelezwe.
Abembelezwe.
Or we can take a look at the quote of the day and then we come back to the traffic situation.
Challenges are the stepping stones to growth. It's through pushing past obstacles that we uncover true strength and build the resilience needed for success.
Well, yes, she's just a girl. Finally, amekubali, yes.
I said 9 minutes, actually 14 minutes.
14 minutes past the hour.
Yes, the hour.
Abembelezwe kidogo tuone masuala ya barabara ikoje. Wacha tuende kwanza Thika Road tuangalie kutoka Ruiru. Kuna ile ngoma inaimbwa ukitoka Luilo. All the way from Ruiru, it's clean green all the way to the Pangani interchange where we can see in a build-up. And this one, unaona ime cross over karibu ifike pale Mathare Mental Hospital. That means hapo kutakuwa na shida. Especially for guys on Thika Road. Watu wa Kiambu Road, kama unaweza kimbia town saa hii, toka tu saa hii. Jogoo Road, not so bad. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Outer Ring Road, a bit of red today, which is a bit unusual as you head towards Donholm. Pale karibu Feather, Tasia, Quickmart Feather. Eastern Bypass not looking bad. Mombasa Road all the way into town is looking good. Tuangazie pale sasa Kangundo Road. Sababu leo pale Umoja Market, I can see both sides of the road red. Meaning kwenda Njiru, kwenda Outer Ring Road, pale utasimama kiasi. Karibu na Umoja One Market. So I think the only places nimeona kuna shida ni pale Pangani, na hiyo sio shida, ile ni ile kawaida. Watu wa working from home upande ingine, the western side of town, all the way from Kikuyu into town, it's green all the way. Southern Bypass not bad. Ngong Road, Mbagathi Way and Langata Road also looking good. Ukiingia town, Haile Selassie is building up slowly, meaning watu wameamka kazi wanaenda Marikiti na Machakos bus station. And that's the traffic situation.
Fred, Thursday is trending on social media.
Thursday is Thursday.
Sasa huenda kukawa na protest.
Why is it trending?
Maybe there could be protests today.
Today.
So Tuesday is Tuesday. It trend, and
so
we
Thursday
see
is
what
Thursday.
happened. So Thursday is Thursday. All right, let's come back and take a look at the local dailies. Thug bosses is the headline here on the Standard. Bloodthirsty. When police marched side by side with the Rungu welding goons on Nairobi streets, who were coming from Governor Johnson Sakaja's City Hall office, some wearing county t-shirts.
You said what?
Okay.
County t-shirts. Okay.
Some wearing county t-shirts. The line between law enforcer and lawbreaker blurred to nothing. The so-called crackdown on protest morphed into a coordinated rampage, looting, assault, and destruction reign unchecked. Innocent wananchi bore the brunt as thugs beat them and vandalized property, all while Sakaja clung to his hollow project businesses in court mantra. IG Kanja remains conspicuously silent, failing to condemn officers who protected the goons.
And you know, I saw someone who was very close to the president at the weekend seeming to direct the governor of Nairobi to handle things. Akaambia, we want a peaceful Nairobi. Yes. And then a day after that, we see the governor of Nairobi, ako kwa front page ya the Standards.
He's also on record saying we will put the city in order. There won't be.
Is that the kind of order? Yesterday, the headlines were saying anarchy. What exactly are you doing? And you see the kind of coverage that this story has received on the Standard. Pages 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 7 pages, including the front page, dedicated to this story.
You're overworking the Standard.
Iyo huwezi epuka.
And you know the Nairobi police boss, is a Sida or something. Alisema, they don't know.
They don't know.
The police, you know,
hakuwaona.
Yani hata wale waliona wakibeba those laptops, sio wao. Wamesema they are trying to retrieve.
You know, the thing is, it might look like something very brilliant. Someone must have thought about it and thought that this is a very brilliant idea. But just imagine the kind of political damage it's doing, especially for the president.
Yeah.
Yes. Kuna mtu ataumia.
Wanajali kweli though.
Na sio mimi.
Haya, tukiangalia ndani, page 2, victims, families still grieving as traders struggle to recoup losses, how Gen Z use social media to mobilize and sustain resistance. There's a story here how brain damage can change everything. You know, as somebody is still fighting for his dear life at Kenyatta National Hospital, was shot on the head. Kanja in our sport over brutality from the police. Kariuki suffered severe brain injury, say doctors. Outrage over police shooting, state-sanctioned gang violence, page 6. Lagat to shed light on Ojwang's killing today. He's set to appear before IPOA. Police made no attempts to keep Ojwang alive after being beaten, page 8. Nothing about budget.
No one is talking about the budget. Who cares about the budget?
Ni mimi tu na wewe ni kama. Page 9, hypocrisy from top politicians exposed by police impunity. Now, page 10, labda ndio tunapata something different. Hustler Fund hit 8 billion shillings gap. PS blames process.
I was hoping for a positive headline. Anyway.
Bado. Outrage SHA issues new letters to employees despite court order. MPs reject proposal to allow KRA access to phone bank private data.
That's on page 12. That's the first instance we are encountering discussions around the budget. On page 12.
Yeah.
Yes.
First reading of the bill happened on Tuesday. Bado inaendelea.
Finance bill inakuja.
On the back page of the Standard, Liverpool face Bournemouth in EPL opener. Man United host Arsenal. The 2025-2026 campaigns kicks off on August 15, and Pep Guardiola's Manchester City travel to Wolves. That's the Standard.
All right. From the Standard to the Daily Nation, how chaos was planned in the city, and once again, Governor Sakaja finds his face plastered on the front page, alongside Korogosho MCA Absalom Odhiambo Onyango, Mr. Calvin Okoth Elias Gaucho, and NPS spokesperson Michael Moshiri. Huyu spokesperson Michael Moshiri ni ule amekuwa akiandika statements za polisi in their own words. Anyway, how chaos was planned in the city. Goons for hire. Plans to disrupt Tuesday's protests in Nairobi started as early as last Thursday. These were planned. Si ati ilikuwa tu coincidental. With fresh details of the recruitment and facilitation of goons to take on the mostly youthful and peaceful demonstrators emerging. Criminals and Holy Alliance with anti-riot officers in their reign of terror on the streets was also a clear manifestation of blessings from above. Above ni wapi? Above ni City Hall ama ni above? Najua kuna ile above, alafu kuna above, ile above.
Oh yeah.
Blessings from above.
If you get it, you get it.
If you don't, forget about it. See the stories on pages 2, 3, 4, and 5. Standard leo na Nation wanakubaliana. We were paid to attack protesters in Nairobi, goons admit. Yes. Bodaboda riders who accepted the deal received a full tank of fuel and 2,000 bob in cash. Washasema, hii tulilipwa, sio ati nini ama nini. Na ni kama tumesahau Albert Ojwang. Naona imefichwa hapa chini. I pour someone's legato of Ojwang's killing. And it's like we've moved on. Looted, shaken city traders reel from protest mayhem. Now, wanajaribu kublame protesters, lakini tunajua ni nani walikuwa na marungu. Na sasa tunajua ni nani aliwalipa. So, orders from above, ndio zinakuja kuleta tu shida hapa. 2 officers arrested for shooting hawker. Yet we've not seen any of them arraigned. Sijui wameshikwa wakapelekwa wapi. Hiyo hatujui.
I saw someone they're supposed to be around today on Thursday. Let you jicho too.
Tunataka tuone kama ni wale ama ni ule tulieka online ama ni.
Actually, the names were mentioned. Cleansy. You know the Cleansy Baraza, the one you were talking about yesterday?
Clinton.
Cleansy.
Anajita Cleansy.
Cleansy Baraza. He's one of them.
Let's see if at all is the one who's going to be produced in court. Unacheza na hii Kenya. Unaweza pala jamaa mwingine ametoka sijui wapi. Dare's life and times. Love him or hate him, is a tale of full dare. Yeah, because I think, and I like the play of words. Yeah. Dare's life and times. Love him or hate him, his is a tale of full of dare. That's Bishop Gilbert Dare, a very controversial bishop, Kenyan bishop. He died in a road accident this week. Yeah. Oh, in Seme. Why Ruto critics in Nyanza trooping to State House? Yeah, niliona Governor Anyang' Nyong'o alienda huko na kafuata James Orengo na huyo governor mwingine Ochilo Ayako, wote wameenda State House. Iran rejects Trump order to surrender in its war with Israel. Now this is something that's developing and it's affecting so many people. At least in Uganda they decided to put it on the front page on how it's affecting its citizens. Kenya ni kama tuzungumzie ya Sakaja kwanza. Yes. All right, on the back page, Knock Kenya polls D-Day. Yes. Former international judoka Shadrach Maluki and former tennis player Francis Motuku face off for the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, that's Knock presidency, in one of the most eagerly awaited elections of the sports body. That's happening today. So something to look forward to for lovers of sports. That's the Daily Nation.
Taifa Leo, nchi ya chemka, polisi kikangoni kwa kutumia nguvu kupita kiasi kuzima maandamano, wakaidi koti na kuvalia barakoa. Now court said police should dress officially bila hizo mask, lakini no, tunafunga hadi vitu kwa kichwa. Wakenya jana waliendelea kuonyesha ghadhabu yao kutokana na jinsi polisi walivyowakabili waandamanaji Jumanne, ambapo mchuuzi wa barakoa alipigwa risasi kichwani na kunusurika mauti jijini Nairobi. Viongozi wa kidini, chama cha mawakili nchini LSK na Wakenya wa kawaida walikosoa polisi kushirikiana na magenge kushambulia wakazi wa jiji. Kumbukeni kwamba polisi wamekataa hawakushughulika.
Hata hawakuwaona. Hawajui ni hao ni nani.
Hata hizo laptops mliona wakishika.
In fact, I saw the statement from the police IG condemning those goons, saying no, you cannot have that. We are actually going to investigate. Ni kama wale wajirani askari, tuta-investigate, tutachunguza, alafu hayo madai na unaona gari ya polisi ndio hiyo hapo na gun ndio huyo.
Tuko child's play. You saw a guy in a suit who was attacked.
Yes.
He was an advocate. Apparently alisema he saw police drop off those goons and pick them up after he was assaulted.
Very unfortunate and very shameful.
Vidokezo vingine, Kenya yatumia shilingi bilioni 4.5 Haiti. Fedha hizo zimetumika nchini humo ndani ya miezi 9, nchi washirika zikibana matumizi. Raila ingilia mzozo wa uongozi ODM, ajaribu kuzima migawanyiko iliyoibuka upya katika chama chake katika kaunti ya Kilifi. Na Khamenei asisitiza vita kuendelea. Rais Donald Trump amesema Washington inafahamu alikojificha Ayatollah Khamenei, lakini alisema hawatamuua. Wanajua tu kwenye yuko Trump.
Tunajua tu lakini hatutammaliza.
Yes. On the top strip, tahadhari kuhusu kolera. Kenya ina mlipuko wa kolera ambao umeua watu 18 kufikia sasa katika kaunti 6. Masala ya spoti pale, Real Madrid wapigiwa upatu, watajwa kuwa na uwezo mkubwa kushinda kombe la klabu bingwa duniani. Taifa Leo.
Right. The Star, why Raila team is no longer at ease and is curiously has been very quiet. They say recent political blunders, mysterious abductions and extrajudicial executions have unsettled former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's camp. Yeye mwenyewe hatujui yako wapi, sijamsikia. Ni kama alisafiri
Hata utakuwa at ease kama ni
Karaoke in ICU after medics remove bullet from head, and you can see pictures there of the person who should be presented before court. The rogue cop constable Cleansy Barasa, who shot Karaoke at close range. Boniface Karaoke, picha yake iko pale. The face mask vendor at Kenyatta National Hospital, and the police officer during the demo. Hiyo story iko pale. Wanajaribu kusema, lakini tunataka tumuone kotini. Msituambie tu saa hii tutaki hiyo maneno yenu ati tunachunguza. Tushachunguza sisi. Tushaona evidence kwa karatasi na mkasema mshamshika. Mmemkamata. Tunataka kumuona kotini.
Like they might present him and then find something else to distract Kenyans to sahau wenye tunashinda tumesahau mambo.
Thursday is Thursday. That's the Star.
People Daily, I pour order, news titans on top cops. DAG Lagat to record statement on Ojwang's murder, even as anger, condemnation greets Tuesday's shooting of protesters in Nairobi. Finally, halafu huyu hapa is a university student, a Kenyatta University student, anaitwa Philip Okage. He was shot on the neck and arm, lakini akasurvive. On the top strip, mystery of 8 billion shillings missing Hustler Fund. Auditor General says 20 billion shillings ilipeanwa, but only 12 billion shillings can be accounted for. The other 8 billion shillings is lost.
Watu walisema walipi?
Yani hawajui hata hiyo pesa iko wapi. It can't be accounted for at all. Other stories here. Coast, thirst for clean water and land justice, and win for small counties in revenue allocations. That's the People Daily.
Right. Matters Business, Equity Corp NCBA hold 1.75 trillion shillings land as collateral. Watu wametumia title deeds kweli kweli kuchukua loans. Sema vehicle logbooks trail properties as loan securities. A lack of title deeds locks women from access to debt. The worth of land and property that Equity Group is holding as collateral for loans has crossed the 1 trillion shilling. Yani, kwa hivyo, Equity Bank alone, we could say right now owns a lot of land in Kenya because watu wamechukua pesa, mikopo, na wakapeana title deeds zao. NSC steadies after rout from Israel-Iran conflict, and this is the first instance I'm seeing this story, how it will affect Kenya. The Nairobi Securities Exchange gained 19 billion shillings on Wednesday, breaking a 3-day losing streak that started last Friday when Israel attacked nuclear and military sites in Iran, sparking deadly exchanges. Uganda wamesema wanashughulika na watu wao. Sisi tunashughulika na pesa vile zinaenda.
Yes. Priorities.
Priorities. On the ticker, secret tenders era over as contracts go online. Wale walikuwa wanapeana tenda nyuma ya tent. Sasa wataingia kwenye mtandao. Insurers plan joint travel medical cover and umeme share in free fall on buyout jitters. Hii umeme ni ile Kenya Power ya Uganda. Waliuza ikarudi kwa mikono ya serikali. Sasa ni kama watu hataki hiyo shares.
Hataki kununua.
That's a business deal.
All right.
Once again, a reminder, these are the gentlemen who will be in studio to discuss some of the big headlines today. Wilson Sosion, who has served as SG of KNUT and also as member of the National Assembly. Ngonjiri Wambugu has also served as MP Nyeri Town. And Dr. Peter Mbai, who is the current Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP. Ile chama ya Wamunyoro.
Skiza ground.
Skiza wa Kenya. State of the Nation coming your way at 6:30.
All right. Tangalia caricature. Na time imeenda.
Yeah, it's already, nasema 6:30, it's already 6:32.
This is the Star. Hi. Siasa, no way.
You know, jamaa ameshika baton. He has the baton and is running. So kuna wengine wanasema hand us the baton, anasema no way. Nile statement alisema I will not hand over.
I will not hand over power. All right. Daily Nation.
Daily Nation.
Goons in Nairobi. The county governor is caricatured here. Anasema we will protect the city. Lakini what they're using to protect the city yuko pale, we have protected the city. And one of them, ako on record akisema Sakaja, tumesafisha, the city is in order.
Walipewa 2,000 shillings na wakaekewa mafuta kwa bodaboda. Now, very proud governor there, caricatured there. Ame protect the city. Congratulations, Governor Sakaja.
Tutakupigia makofi kesho. This is
The Standard.
The Standard. Aya, aipoa hapa imeng'olewa meno. Na nani politicians who are saying, do what you have to do, but I will keep this. They will
stay with the teeth.
They will stay with the teeth. Lakini rogue cops are saying he can really do nothing without his teeth, for sure.
Yeah.
Sasa aipoa has been grabbed by the teeth. Hana meno.
And finally, People Daily. We have two frames here of Kenyan news in the 80s and Kenyan news in 2025. From the 80s, sema welcome to Nairobi, the green city in the sun. Nakumbuka watu kama kina kunaitwaje? Ile the newscaster, some of the popular newscasters. Ndio hiyo kwa TV anasema welcome to Nairobi, the city in the sun. The green, lakini sasa anasema welcome to Nairobi, the goon city in fire. Catherine Kasavuli, probably the late Catherine Kasavuli. Welcome to Nairobi, the goon city on fire. Once again, congratulations to Governor Sakaja for protecting the city. Yes.
Makofi ni kesho.
Makofi itakuja baadaye.
Today is also Health Thursday. We'll be speaking to Kevin Mwangi, a nutritionist, on health and nutrition. Are we a healthy nation? Are we a healthy people? How can we, take care of our health? In this day and age, kuna vitu mingi watu wanakula pale. Tumeona Uganda wanaambiwa, is it Tanzania? Wanaambiwa mnakula chips mayai sana.
Na Kenya kuna cholera kwenye county sita.
Yes.
You can already feel the vibe in studio. There's a lot of noise going on because our guests are already here. Wilson Sosion, Dr. Peter Mbai, and they cannot contain themselves. They've already begun the discussions. Ngonjiri Wambugu, former MP Nyeri Town, is also with us. Stick with us.
Meanwhile, interact with us on our socials. Wilson Sosion, I will throw you out.
They've become unruly now. Dr. Peter Mbai as well. They've become very noisy in studio.
On our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 News KE. My handle is at Ann_Dida and the hashtag is Morning Cafe.
My handle is at Fred Indimuli. See you after.
It's about time.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Our world is changing every day, and so should.
A statement by the National Police Service spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga says that the 2 police officers who were recorded shooting Boniface Kariuki in Nairobi's CBD have been interdicted and are currently being processed by the homicide team, DCI headquarters, pending further action. The 2 police officers were arrested and have been identified as Police Constable Klinzi Baraza Masinde and Police Constable Duncan Kiprono. In this video that was recorded during the protests, the 2 officers were seen shooting Kariuki at close range when he was unarmed and selling face masks in Nairobi. One of them opened fire at close range using an anti-riot shotgun. The 2 officers were Wednesday booked at the Capitol Hill police station in Nairobi, with their firearms being confiscated, awaiting forensic analysis. However, Baraza Masinde's lawyers maintain that he is innocent.
Our client Barasa is innocent. The photos circulating in the social media, those are AI-generated photos, and you are very well aware that those are not admissible in the court of law.
The Director of Public Prosecutions is expected to present him before the Milimani Law Courts, where a miscellaneous application will be filed, seeking custodial orders to complete investigations. Further, the lawyers have stated that the medical records of Boniface Kariuki will determine charges preferred to Baraza.
There is no live ammunition so far. There is no report of any live ammunition that was captured in the scene. But if there is any shooting that took place, then they must have used a rubber bullet. And to the best of our knowledge, we are yet to receive any report from the forensic department, and therefore we cannot establish whether this live ammunition came from whoever was a gun holder at the material time.
Be known that in this due process, and our client is cooperative. He has already cooperated with the investigation. When you will be arraigned in court, you will still be ready, and we shall fight in court. But we urge the members of the public to be calm.
The National Police Service has further confirmed that Kariuki is recuperating in stable condition at Kenyatta National Hospital in Nairobi following successful surgery. Stanley Nyeringita, TV47.
All right, this is indeed Morning Cafe on TV47. My name is Fred Indimuli. Time for us to take a look at the big headlines. And of course, this whole week, just been talking about police and goons. Incidentally, goons is also trending on X this morning because that's the latest trend. Most of the dailies in their editorials are condemning the use of paid goons to contain protests in the city, and Governor Johnson Sakaja finds his face plastered at least on the front page of the Daily Nation and the Standard. Thug bosses is the headline of the Standard, and how chaos was planned in the city with the governor once again the man in question. Allow me to introduce my panelists this morning. Gonjiri Wambugu, former MP Nyeri Town. Good morning, karibu sana.
Asante sana, Fred.
Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, who has served as SGK and UT and also as a member of the National Assembly, is also with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Fred.
And Dr. Peter Mbaye, who currently serves as the Secretary, Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP party, is also with us.
Thank you.
We are still waiting for the launch of this party. What's happening, even before we talk about these headlines?
Thank you.
Kuna kitu imekwama mahali?
Thank you, Fred, and good morning to you and the viewers. We are on track, and the owners of the party should be left to make announcements about when we are launching the party. Unfortunately, we have experts here, some of them are in studio, who are always taunting us about launching the party. Gujiro Bogo is not our advisor. He's not the advisor of the party.
He's here to speak on this panel.
He has been lighting every day. He lights tweets about the DCP and our party leader for breakfast, for lunch and supper. Every time he seems to know when we are launching, whether we are launching, whether we are not going to launch. And I'm thinking, he did his bit when he was there. We don't discuss it. Then why can't he concentrate on what he's doing next? Okay. I was somewhere sometime. Today, I talk about DCP every day. I don't know what he left behind. Maybe he left some things and he feels sad that he left something. Maybe there's a mission he was yet to accomplish in DCP. Maybe he should tell us. I mean, we are talking.
Yeah,
he should tell us. But to keep on telling us, oh, you know, the lounge is not going to be there, it is me who should be saying whether we have the lounge.
Are you launching the party?
Thank you so much. We are going to launch the party as we said. Thank you. We are going to launch the party as we said.
Do you have a date?
Pardon?
Do you have a date set?
The date is going to be announced by the party leader. Okay. Very soon, in the coming days, okay? Yeah, it's in works. I don't know why people who are not members of DCP want us to give so much information before. We need to give
anticipation you built.
Thank you so much. And we are within the timelines we said. We are going to say within this month of June, we are going to launch the party officially in a big way. People are panicking for nothing. Why don't you take your time to sell your party? Right? You should be taking your time telling us about your party, when you are going to do your launch, when you are going to do the returns with the political parties. And then, Fred, let me tell you, in a nutshell, let me tell you, parties are built by members, contributions. There is nothing wrong in somebody saying, I want to support my party to do the launch. Yes, people are the ones driving DCP from the word go. And it's true, we are getting contribution from members. So I really don't know what is this obsession. If I was somewhere and I did my best, I would just walk away and go and do something else. This panic, since we launched the party, there's a lot of panic for nothing. And we have not even started.
Are you obsessed with the DCP?
You see, first and foremost, thank you, Mbai, for bringing my posts on Facebook to national television. And I appreciate, yes, I had committed this month to just having a conversation about the politics of the day. And you know, when you're a political analyst, you keep talking about the contemporary issues. And it's important for Mbai to appreciate that once you become an institution, you'll be criticized. You'll be challenged. They don't have to agree with what I'm challenging. But I'm glad I'm happy to see they're reading. You know, at least Mbai has confirmed they're following what I'm posting, morning, lunchtime, and in the evening, which is great. Of course, the issue of launching is something that when I was there, I was part of the commitments that were made. I left, right? But I keep wanting to find out, because you know that launch was supposed to be a big thing, 10,000 people. Kasarani, though I don't understand the obsession with Kasarani, I don't know why. Once Kasarani wasn't available, they couldn't launch somewhere else. The last I heard, the party leader is about to go to America for a couple of months. It would be interesting to see whether they launch before.
You're really keeping tabs on that.
Yeah, I am. You know, I spend quite a bit of time just helping them put together what they have. When you've been in a good school, we were just talking with Sosion about his time when he was a teacher. And when you have been somewhere, you'll keep remembering where you've been, even as you move on. You want where you have been to succeed, you know, and you don't want people to be let down or to feel like they're being played or they're being conned. So you'll keep asking. By the way, you guys had said you're going to launch within the month of June. Today is 19th.
Almost done.
You have 11 days. Oh, by the way, I heard the party leader is going to America for several months. Are you launching before he goes, or are you waiting until he comes back? Some people had contributed money for the launch. Is it somewhere? Those questions will be asked, you know. So, but I'm glad they're reading, and I'm glad he has taken the time to explain. So I'm sure members of their party have heard that the launch is still coming. So that's good. Well done, Mbai.
What 1 minute. No, 1 minute. No, just 1 minute. No, Mariam is coming in. One thing we are very concerned about. We don't know the circumstances by which Wabogo left. So the more he is going to like dig in, we don't know where he wants to take the information. We are very curious. So we are like, number two, look at the situation of a jilted lover. Once you are done with the relationship, it is expected that you heal and you move on, right? You go and get counseling and you move on to the next. Otherwise, it can get into some obsession. Do you know people who really check everything the ex-lover is doing? Like, who are they dating now? Where are they going out? And it gets to jealous and some bitterness. Maybe he needs some counseling.
Fred,
no,
allow me.
No.
Allow me.
No, Professor.
I know this is not the conversation.
Do you have an in-house counselor?
No.
Do you have an in-house? No, on a serious note. By the way, I'm worried. We are all Kenyans, and he's my brother. By the way, he's a senior member. We served somewhere, very senior positions government, and I'm concerned as a brother. Maybe he needs some counseling to be told, brother, you move on.
Yeah. Every time I hear somebody like Mbai make that comment and talk about obsession, I think about Gachagua. and his obsession with Ruto.
You worked very closely with him.
I worked with him. And so when people start talking about obsession and following up on your former boss, I mean, maybe I just learned from him. Following up, keeping tabs on him the same way he's keeping tabs on his former boss. I mean, the only thing Gachagua talks about is Ruto. So maybe even he needs the same kind of advice this guy is giving me. He needs to first give it to his boss.
Well, if Mwalimu Sossion has anything to talk about this issue, this issue before we start on the main headlines today.
Well, I've been listening to them, but I think when you get to the crux of the matter and the content of the arguments, I think that is a brand of politics that is no longer relevant to the current times. At this point, when you're talking about transformation of the country, really for the good of everyone, we cannot regress. And when you look at even the violences that we've heard on Tuesday and the other days and the demonstrations, those are not demonstrations actually to advance democracy. They are violent political activities. And I think some bit of counseling needs to be applied
on this side.
No.
On the motion.
On those who are still trying to advance politics of hate, culture of hate.
Incitement.
Incitement. We must be optimistic. It is now time we build some optimism for the country and for everybody in the country.
Okay.
While it's a right to form political parties and advance political rights,
and then I think in our politics,
we must build optimism for every Kenyan.
Conversation this morning. Thank you, gentlemen. I think with that is done. That's sorted about the DCP. Now let's take a look at the headlines, which have been very disturbing for the past few days. And now we're getting more revelations about what really happened in Nairobi on Tuesday this week, when unfortunately one person was shot dead by police. But the other very unfortunate incident is the fact that hired goons were controlling the streets unfettered, and now we are seeing the blame game and who is said to have been in charge of this. The question is, who is in control? Who really is in control? We have the police who are saying they are not aware of what happened in Nairobi, yet we saw their vehicles escorting the same goons. We have the governor who's yet to speak about this, but his face is plastered on the front pages today under the title Thug Bosses. Bwana Ngunjiri Wambugu, do you feel like at some point or at some level someone has lost control?
Thank you, Fred. I think I don't even think it's in dispute that we have lost control of the socio-political conversations in our country. When we had the demonstrations on Tuesday, when I remember my kids asking me whether they can go to school because they're in college. And I told them, no, I'm not sure what's going to happen. And it builds up, it builds up. And I remember as I was watching these guys walking around with rungus and saying they're coming to defend, to protect businesses, right? First, it's not the first time we've seen that. 2 years ago when we were having the Azimio demos, we had the similar arrangement. And I think what is happening in the country, we are starting to normalize demonstrators and civilians clashing. And we're also getting socialized to the fact that policemen will just come and they'll take one of the sides. They'll either take the side of the demonstrators and crash, or they'll take the sides of the people defending. And I don't even know where that concept of defending, because demonstrations is something that is in our constitution. I'm actually one of the very few Kenyans who has a court order with my name on it that confirms your right to picket, to demonstrate, and to present petitions, right? And there's a format and a process of how that is supposed to be done. And it's supposed to be, actually the order I got, I think in 2016, and one I had gotten earlier, says that the police are supposed to give you security to do your demonstrations. Now, we now have this other uncontrolled space of, as you're doing these demonstrations, and the police are giving you security, who are these other people who are coming and saying that they are coming to protect their properties from you who is doing demonstrations. At what point have we accepted that demonstrations will always be violent? Now, in a situation where like this, and part of the reason why my good friend Sakaja is finding himself in trouble, is a statement he had made before, where he had said, look, we are going to be waiting. We're going to be waiting. And if you guys show up, you're going to have a problem. Now, again, Sakaja is not the first person to say this. I remember one of the videos I came across when this was happening was one by now Gachagua when he was deputy president. And he had made the same statement when Azimio was doing demonstrations, and he had said, we're going to be waiting, we're not going to allow this to happen. So it's a situation where we have starting to normalize the fact that when you have a demo, there's going to be conflict. And when there's conflict, there's going to be violence, there's going to be looting, there's going to be people getting hurt. Then I must comment about this guy who was shot, this gentleman who was selling masks. I mean, that was just the craziest thing I've ever seen. You know, when first you see, you know, that video was very interesting. You first see the officers aiming at him. I don't know whether his gun jammed or something. Then I think he gave up. Then a colleague walked up to him, and then they're like, oh, you know what, twende. Then they followed up, and then the guy ended up getting shot. You know, thank God that the last information I had that he was still receiving treatment. It tells you first I think we have a lot of anger going around this country. And then something else somebody pointed out to me, actually a counselor. When we talk about Gen Z, we assume Gen Z is only in the public space. Gen Z is everywhere, including in the police force. You'll find that a lot of the people who are police who are getting deployed to counter the people on the streets are actually their age. They're young people, some in uniform with firearms, then you bring another bunch of young people not in uniform carrying rungus, and then you bring another bunch of young people with placards who are actually actively doing legal demonstrations, and you have a clash of 3 groups of young people who are all frustrated with what is going on in the country, and then you literally have a hot point of explosion. Something is going to give. And I think the political leadership, all the way from the president, needs to think about this very, very seriously. Because all these people on the streets, policemen, demonstrators, and the people protecting the property are all young people.
But when we talk about the police service, this is a disciplined unit.
Ideally.
Ideally, yes. And that's why you exercise control. That leading them in any sort of mission is the easiest thing to do because they simply obey orders. But what we are seeing now, and from the descriptions we saw yesterday on all the dailies, they used one word, anarchy. That the same police are the ones shooting people and leaving so many questions unanswered. The same police are allowing goons to take control of the country. And the issue, once again, the question, we seem to have lost control somewhere. Don't you agree?
We've lost control in everything up to and including demonstrations. The demonstrations we are having are not decent, orderly demonstrations with objectives and with memoranda to deliver in a manner that is convincing. And you don't demonstrate every day. You demonstrate once in an orderly way to an extent that you even don't need the police if you do it peacefully. But what we are witnessing here is, first of all, what is the police dealing with? Are the police dealing with ordinary demonstrations? No. These are political demonstrations whose frontier of operation is violence. So these are not very easy things. If you look at the work of the police now, it's not very easy to deal with. First, the demonstrations are threats to their own lives. And then now when we come to the police service itself, do they have capacity to deal with this type of demonstrations? Do they? I don't think not. And have we prepared our police service in terms of capacity to be able to handle such, to guide such, to manage? Have we really done that as a country? We changed our police service from a force to a service. But are they really properly enabled to be able to do that? Both in terms of retooling, both in terms of equipment. We have a job cut out for us to deal with the police and to enable the police to be a police service. What I don't agree with is blatant misuse of police power to brutalize citizens. Like, of course, the young man who was selling masks, that was not necessary. But if it was a person throwing stones or breaking into buildings, because we saw demonstrators who broke into buildings, that would be a different story. But you see a police officer shooting at a harmless demonstrator is actually missing the point. Let the police deal with the actual criminals, of course, when they're in the scene of action. That brings us back to Albert Odhiambo, who died. Is it necessary that the police are able to use inmates to beat up another inmate to death? That is a wrong practice. And you look, this culture must change, and it has to change now. And that is why this conversation, we must absolutely depoliticize and look at the police operation.
Can we really afford to depoliticize this conversation?
I'm saying so that then we can restructure the police operation. But then on the demonstration, allow me to talk about the demonstrations. We also have to restructure how we conduct demonstrations in the country. Who is calling for demonstration? Who are the demonstrators? And they are moving from which point to which point in an orderly manner, because Article 37 talk of demonstration peaceably and unarmed. So by the time you get individuals who are breaking into buildings, that's no longer demonstration. Those are criminal activities.
Now, that's why the politicians come on the front pages we see.
And I think the political parties and political organizers organizing the demonstrations do not have capacity to organize for proper demonstration. And I'm saying so from the background of having organized and led demonstrations that are very effective for many years.
Dr. Mbai, we cannot fail to talk about the politicians and their involvement in this, in organized chaos. Hired goons, they're claiming on the front page, on page 2 of the Daily Nation, Boda riders accepted the deal. They received a full tank of fuel and 2,000 shillings to actually do this from a politician whose name has been mentioned. We cannot excuse politicians from this. Is that the point where we are losing control, that we've lost control of our politics as well?
No, I think it's very simple. This is a security issue, Fred, because first of all, I'll start with this issue. These are young people coming to do peaceful demonstrations. And the young people are very clear. And if you remember the Gen Z of last year, the young people came in the morning, the first two are very peaceful. It was just some water, and the young people were there, singing, chanting, patriotic songs. And by evening, they went home. If you remember, twice. The third time, infiltration happened, right? People begin infiltrating the peaceful demonstrations to cause chaos and blame it on anybody else. Now, what we are seeing, for example, when now politicians come in because they want to show, and they were told, there were clips where he was given instructions. Sakaja was told, go and make sure you are in charge of the city. And then, I don't know, you say one thing, then you forgot you said it. Then you come denying. By the way, he denied last night, saying he has nothing to do with it, the governor. I want to say this. As we speak today, right now, the governor of Nairobi should be in the dock, arrested. Just like that. Because he said, he was caught on a clip saying that Mutanikuta town. And then the young people are not hiding. And then there's evidence. LSK say they have evidence that politicians, actually the governor, paid for these young people. Now, when I watched that clip, and I said, cannot be Kenya. This cannot be Nairobi in the 21st century. Surely, you cross all the businesses, there is trouble everywhere. In CBD, look at the cost of economy. I think it was going to up to 3 to 5 billion, according to the people I spoke to last night. The economy that just went down. Look at our image internationally. Surely, because of a governor, doesn't matter who is using you, because you are the one who is directly implicated. We don't know whether you got orders from other people outside there. Governor should be in the dock line now as we speak, number one. Number two, I feel sorry for this young man, Boniface Mwangi. The amount of blood that was shed that day, and people should know today, Fred, violence begets violence. Look at Ojoa, look at this, look at what's going to happen. And blood calls for blood. It's so unfortunate. I hope Boniface is safe. I hope Boniface is alive. Because what the father said, I don't know. I saw him. And
you're talking about Boniface Kariuki?
Yes, yeah, Boniface Mwangi. And you see what happens. If you're in ICU, in life-supporting machine, you look like you are breathing. I just hope, because it is so sad. We don't want to go there. But I can tell you this. then another situation happens. So number one, let's go to action. We need to have the governor on dock because he was caught saying Mutanikuta town. Then that's number one. Number two, very importantly, there is an issue of, there is a court order saying if police are coming to handle riots, they should not be masks. Vehicles should not be masked and they should not have masks. They should be appear and the number should be here because you're not going to do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. That's already a contempt issue concerning the IG and the CS for security that our team and the LSK is planning to push for that because that's another issue altogether. So we have a lot of complication. And then now, we are not dealt with the main issue. Now, even when you go to the main issue of Fred, it becomes worse because we are already dealing with Ojwang's death. Now, on the issue of Ojwang, let me tell you, and I'll say this today, Fred, if it is true, I don't know if it's true, what Mukwang said, that you buy alcohol for some people to go torture other people in the cells and all that. The police station central should be declared a crime scene. It should be a cross for innovation. And if it happens in Central, Fred, it happens in all other police stations.
My concern now,
and that is the biggest. And let me tell you, and the CS should not come out begin saying that they're going to do CCTV. Always,
we appear to be descending into total anarchy, Bwana Ngojiri Ombugu. Yes. That over time, because now it's crisis after crisis. Last week it was Albert Ojwang. This week it's Boniface Karaoke has been shot. Last year we were dealing with a totally different issue that we, until now, a year later, has never been dealt with.
Has not been solved.
Has never been dealt with. No report, no discussion. Yet everyone is sitting back and allowing this to happen. Do you foresee anywhere where we're going to stop?
I don't think so. If we continue doing what we're doing, we're not going to stop. But I think it's also, I want to pick something that Honorable Sosion said. We've lost control of all these processes. The first thing we've lost control of is the security system, infrastructure. The second thing we've lost control, we have to accept, is also how we are doing our demos. I agree with him on that one. Because you see, for a long time, and it's important for us to look at the history of how we got here. This thing of demonstrations collapsing into anarchy is not something that started last year. It's something that has happened regularly over the last 10 years, and it just keeps getting worse. So now what we have done, we have a system where our children, because they're literally our kids, I have children in their 20s, decided to go to the streets and demonstrate according to the law. And they did what we are supposed to do. And as Mbai says, for the first 2 days, they did it effectively and efficiently. And then our history of bad demonstrations comes in. And by day 3, that demonstration that was supposed to achieve a specific objective collapses into anarchy, right? Now, this one is not even waiting for 2 days. It starts properly as a demo in first 1 hour, 2 hours. By the 3rd hour, is anarchy. Now it's no longer even waiting. It's actually, and today, if tomorrow somebody announces a demo, you can even predict what is going to happen. That the people who are going to demonstrate are going to be in the streets maybe between 9 and 10 or 10 and 11. By 12 o'clock, another bunch of goons is going to show up. By 3 o'clock, it will be complete disorder. They'll be looting and they'll be everything. So what we need to do is first all of us take a step back and ask ourselves what exactly is going on, right? Because we have, you see, when he's been a Secretary General, Chairman and Secretary General of a union, and they've done demos. I mean, they've called for demos over the years, over and over again. Violence. You know, and those demos were specific towards a certain objective, and there were people you could talk to. You knew this demo has been called by NAT, and it has been called to lobby or to agitate for salary rise or something else. So you knew the people in the street are doing this for this particular reason, and this demo has been called by so-and-so. So if something goes wrong, you know who to go and ask. Today, we have demos and you can't even tell who you're supposed to ask. So we mobilize, which is okay, because technology is here. We mobilize online, we go to the street, and then you want to ask, so what is the end state of this demo? So at what point will we know we have achieved what this demo was supposed to achieve? All right. You get? That's the first question. And then so you're supposed to have a petition, for example, or just agitation or placards. So the question is, so who is in charge of this demo? What are we demonstrating against? We are unhappy with Albert, all of us. I have a problem with what happened to Albert. All of us have a problem with what happened to Boniface. In fact, God forbid, something would have gone wrong with Boniface, would have had a demo tomorrow about Boniface. So somebody would have called that demo and would have gone back to the streets and said, oh, you know, what happened to Boniface was bad. And then in the middle of that, somebody else gets hurt. Okay. And then we pick that person and make him the reason for the next demo. And before we're just doing a vicious circle. So part of the issue is we need to step back, all of us. First, the security agencies need to create an order of what do you do during demos. For example, I'd always even asked myself, what if the county commander, the police county commander said, so you're going to have an order, you're going to have a demonstration tomorrow. Officer so-and-so is going to be in charge of this street. Officer so-and-so is going to be in charge of this street. Officer so-and-so is going to be in charge of this street. If something goes wrong in that street, whether we have looting or people getting shot or people getting mugged, the person who we are going to hold accountable is going to be this particular officer from the police force.
All right.
The second thing is, you guys who are demonstrating, this is what you want. Can we agree? How do we tell this is a demonstrator and this is a goon? At what point? Because you see, when you all go to the street, so you can tell the policemen, ideally because they're uniformed, and they're not supposed to have masks. That was another complete blunder this week. The court says don't wear masks. Come in uniform. So that we don't have people saying they're police officers in the middle of the crowd, in civilian, and you don't know whether there's a thug or he's a cop.
Okay.
So come in uniform. But then you are demonstrators. How do we identify demonstrators? So that we're able to tell this is a demonstrator and this is a goon. That is the problem we're having. So when you see this thing collapsing, it's collapsing because there's absolutely no order on that entire infrastructure. We've lost control.
Before come to you, Mwalimu Sosion, let's take a short break when we come back. And the question still is, who is in control here? We seem to be descending into total anarchy and no one is taking charge. You're watching Morning Cafe.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberry.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe. Descending into anarchy is the biggest concern that we have today with what we've seen in Nairobi. This is still Morning Cafe. My name is Freddy Ndimuli, and I'm still in studio with Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, Dr. Peter Mbaye, and Ngunjiru Ambugu. And the question still is about political control over the back must stop somewhere. Allowing what happened in Nairobi to continue, we may question the governor or his intentions or his politics, but there's also a political cost above the level of governor. When the president allows this to happen, he's in charge of all security agencies and everything in this country. There must be a political cost to it. Don't you think that also the president needs to take blame for what we're seeing?
One, the president does not convene demonstrations. That is one. And whoever is convening these demonstrations is not known. These are demonstrations without leaders, and they end up being violent. At the end of the day, you are very sure there will be destruction of property, there will be looting, and that is where you put the police in a very complicated position. That then sometimes, in violent demonstrations, the police automatically will be forced to use extra lethal force. That goes without saying. But then when we look at let's focus on the militias, because when you call for a demonstration in the city, it becomes an activity of interest of all groups, including criminal gangs. And I call them criminal gangs because these gangs exist. They're not legit, but it's real. The politics of Nairobi cannot be done without militias. And that's a fact for sure. And I've experienced it as SG one time.
When you say that,
yes, I'm coming to that.
I'm talking about the level of insecurity at the national level. The president, his position also, he chairs the National Security Council. When the headlines are saying we are descending into anarchy, it's not just about Nairobi.
You know, if you want me to discuss the National Security Council, that is above my pay grade. But I think if we discuss exactly what is happening within Nairobi and within our cities, not only Nairobi, just allow me, Fred, because you raised it, within Nairobi and within our cities, in terms of running out of control and the existence of militias, it's a complex thing that has existed over the past regimes. When we had Mwingikis were created politically through political groupings, political social groupings. And over time, Jeshi la Mzee, Gumo, and the rest. And I have had experience of facing goons who were hired to evict me out of NAT one time. And when I approached the county police boss, he was even unable to enforce a court order because he doesn't have a strategic way of dealing with goons. And I had to also get my own team to flush out the others. And I realized Nairobi is complex. That's the truth. And so when
he had to get his own
that
team
is a fact. That is a fact. I'm telling you, that is a fact. And if we need to organize all these cities, then we must securitize the governance above the police.
This discussion to Nairobi alone.
And when you look at...
We're talking about a chaotic police service.
Yes, before we get to the police, let us deal with how do we organize security of the city. It cannot be left only to the police. The Constitution and the legislation allows for enforcement officers. Instead of having these goons being goons in other formats, I think all the cities should have a special arrangement to ensure that there is a strong security system to protect the city during demonstration and other times, and that the city actually is orderly.
I get the feeling that we are giving this
because we need to use.
We're not giving it the proper justice it deserves.
Not what you want.
Because you just want to focus on Nairobi alone. I'm talking about a chaotic police service whose boss sits in the National Security Council.
My problem, Fred, with this is this, and I think we are seated here very comfortably in Nairobi here because this thing has not hit us. It has not hit us. That's the problem, because we have not been personally been victims of our sons and daughters and cousins and friends. We are taking it so lightly. Let me say this, Fred. Let's start from where I started from last year. It is possible for young people to go to the street, dance, and finish their work and go home in the evening and pass a message. For example, the young people have already announced the anniversary of the Gen Z revolution from last year, which is going to be, I think, on Wednesday. So all what we are saying, let the young people come. The work of police is just to be there, just to make sure nobody goes and loots businesses and all that. And the young people will go home in the evening. If they want to go convene at Uhuru Park or somewhere else, let them be. The problem we are saying is, when you come, infiltrate them and begin fighting with them, and finally you kill another person. That's all what we are saying. Now, my position would be this. When you see policemen, okay, National Police Service escorting goons, now we are finished. We are done, Fred, because now what else are we talking about? Now, there are two issues that come into play here. There must have been, it's not possible, it's not easy, let me use that word, Fred, for somebody to shoot to kill. This must be somewhere where they have been around. It's not possible. If you tell a policeman, don't shoot to kill, they will not. But are we saying that there is a policy that you may? Because that was so bad. And my question, Fred, is this. Because the guy pointed a gun at someone. Now, are we saying there is something that is saying you can use force, you can shoot to kill? Because those are the issues we should be talking about. Now, with the issue of policemen escorting goons, somebody must take responsibility. Fred, can I say, because we cannot here be talking, we are talking so much English here. Let me say, we are pointing out, we have photos of goons who are there. They should be arrested. The people who were complicit in this matter, the IG this time round, we try to keep him out of Ojuang's, but for this time round, the IG should come out. And by the way,
my concern, gentlemen, here, I'm trying to point at something. National security is not a county or a devolved function. It's a national service, national security. We have the Cabinet Secretary, Internal Security, who sits in the National Security Council. The President himself does it. Sits there. The Inspector General of Police sits in that National Security Council. This should be the apex of control when it comes to security.
Yes.
Isn't that where we should be directing the blame and saying you have lost control as a National Security Council because all those people sit there and we are saying this, now we want to blame the governor? It's not his function.
I don't even think there's any dispute about who is to be blamed for the lack of control of security. I mean, that, first and foremost, we have to start from the president. We have to come to the security system around the country. Because a demo going into collapsing into anarchy in Nairobi or in Nyeri or in Nakuru or in Mombasa is insecurity in our country.
And it's not up to the governor.
Yes. And then, and Fred, when I was in Parliament, I tried to introduce a bill on how to manage demos, and it made me a lot of enemies, especially within the civil society. And why was I doing this? As I said, I've had a history of being involved in demos a lot. In fact, if you remember, there was a very famous Limuru 2B, Limuru 2 and then Limuru 2B, where we were stopped by policemen from going to have a meeting in Limuru. I went to court, and I got an order, allowed me to actually do a demo. And the police, the provincial, whoever was in charge of the province at that time was actually instructed by court to make sure I had security, right? When I got into Parliament and we had these demos happening, especially after election, in 2017, in 2022, my question was, now that we have made demonstrations part and parcel of our political engagement, right? Because unlike Sosion, when Nat or NASIs or what go for demos, then they go for demos on a purely work-related issue. Now, the demos we are seeing are political demos.
Political.
They are demos to cause political change. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if this is what is happening, then as a country, we need to create a structure of how those political demos are supposed to be done. And this is what I mean. When I tried to introduce that bill, I wanted to ask, can we have a structure that says, you know, those 5 W's and H? So who is calling for this demo? Where is it going to be? When is it going to be? What is it about? Why is it being called? And how will you be able to tell who the demonstrators are and who are not? Because remember, demonstrations are held in the middle of life. Today, if you call a demonstration in Nairobi at Commercial or outside Kencom, for example, you will come to demonstrate, but you're not the only people on that street. There are people who are going about their business. There are people who own shops. There are matatu drivers, there are matatu owners who are conducting the business. As you're doing your demo, what are these other guys supposed to be doing? Are they supposed to pause live so that you can do your demo, finish, then they continue? Or is there an interface of how you're going to do your demo and allow me to continue doing my business? And I remember asking that question when I was trying to prosecute this issue. You have the right to demonstrate, but you're coming to demonstrate outside my shop. What is my right? What am I supposed to do as you demonstrate outside my shop? I am not part of the government. You're agitating against the government because they did something to someone. I am not part of that government. Me, I'm just running my small kiosk. You're outside my kiosk with placards. My clients can't come to my kiosk. What is supposed to happen? You know? And this is a conversation you're supposed to have, because why are you seeing goons being mobilized? I talked about how in 2017 and 2018, 2019, we had a structured organization of goons, for lack of a better word, called Nairobi Business Community. It was structured by the Business Committee of Nairobi, and they said, no, you guys can't be coming to do demos and destroying our business. And the police are not doing anything about it. They used to even wear uniform. I think they had American camo uniform. And they would do press conferences. And you'd say, we are going to do demos, and they would do a press conference and say, when you're doing the demos, we are going to be on the street. The other day now, it's gotten to the point where we are, and that's what I talked about, socializing. We are getting normalized to this issue. We must have a conversation about how we are going to do demonstrations. This is why, as I finish, these young people, and as I said right from the beginning, I completely admire their capacity to mobilize and get on the streets and agitate for an issue. I had Nairobi Regional Commander said that committing that he's going to give them security on 25th. Is it 25th or 24th? He's going to ensure they have security. Now, if we don't have an arrangement of where are these young people going to be doing this demonstration in Nairobi, for example? Are they going to do it on Uhuru Highway? Are they going to do it on Kenyatta Avenue? Are they going to do it? Because as they do it here, Sosion talked about structures. Every street, every country, every city has a bunch of criminals, individuals and gangs. And they're always waiting for an opportunity to get involved in doing their business. As you're doing demos here, and criminals come and start pretending they're demonstrators on this street and robbing people, how do we separate? How do we separate that these are legit demonstrators who are celebrating the anniversary of June 24th, and these are thugs?
Now, this is something we expect that will happen next week, but this conversation and the level at which we're having this conversation is the reason I'm concerned. I've come across a clip of the president's personal assistant in anticipation of what will happen next week, telling the governor, or seeming to direct the governor of Nairobi to take charge of Nairobi and ensure that Nairobi is peaceful. Is that the level of conversation we should be having about national security from the president's PA to a governor?
I think we should be very blunt, and I don't want to discuss gossips of an individual who has no authority in government structure and other things. I don't think I'll get into that space, but I think...
Conveniently so.
If we are not conveniently, rightly so, rightly, because we cannot...
Do you think it is right for the president's PA to direct a governor to take charge of security of a country?
The president is the chair of National Security Advisory Council, and we've asked, how do we link the county activity security and even with the national security program, and also the work of the police? One thing we accept is that these political demonstrations that automatically degenerate into chaos are difficult to manage. And it may be beyond the capacity even of our police system. And we've seen it has not worked. And even the next demonstrations, as long as they're politically motivated, they will be violent. That's a fact for sure. And I think it is almost time. At the end of the demonstration, businesses are destroyed and rights of others are infringed severely so. And a governor is elected to superintend the welfare of the county. And our cities, governors running our cities, if really we don't bring them on board in terms of security of the cities, then we'll continue having problems. There is need, according to me, it's a global practice, that we treat our city counties very special and allow them to play a role in the security of the counties, even if it means enlarging the number of enforcement officers and enforce order to complement what the police are doing, so that instead of having militias and what we call goons to come and complement, we have a formal security structure of the county, and that is allowed. That is allowed. Why do we have? Though? We have the provision for enforcement officers. Many counties have done that, and probably this is what Nairobi need to do, and they have to do it in consultation with the National Security Advisory Council to complement what the police is doing. Because, Fred, let us not gag an option and allow a weak system that we know does not have capacity to continue doing it.
Isn't that an admission that we've lost control?
I am not an admission.
I'm shocked the way...
I'm providing a suggestion from my own experience.
And these are the,
this is what cities...
These are the advisors of government.
I'm not an advisor of government.
We are doomed.
I'm a free citizen, independent citizen, and as such. And I've traveled to many cities all over the world. A city that degenerates into disorder, even for 15 minutes, is a bad city.
I think,
and we need to make our cities orderly cities. And to make it orderly,
we are losing it.
Let's allow Dr. Mbai to.
I think we are losing it. I hear the admission of my colleagues here saying, oh, I used to goons at some point.
Both of them have admitted.
They have admitted, yes. Live on camera, right? And I'm thinking, no, you admitted. And I'm thinking, where are we as a country? First of all, I want to urge all of us watching us and others who are going to watch us later to go and read the statement that the United Opposition released yesterday. It was very good. The buck stops with one man, the CEO of this country, Fred. The whole issue, we had an armed protester shot down at London, Derito. He died, just unarmed, just shot like this by police. It's all over the place. So let me tell you this. The buck stops with one man. I want to be very brief. And what we are doing, because we cannot keep on talking every day, we are documenting these things. It is high time. Because we cannot control ourselves as a country, because our security are already captured, our security systems, we are going to document these things and put them to ICC. Because we cannot continue this way, because it's going to generate to something else. To answer your question, Fred, the buck stops with one man. Don't begin saying that IG is independent. There's nothing like that in this country. Because you are the chair of the National Police Service, or rather the Security Council. So, and that's why you see the connection. God is full of mercy. He gives us hints. When the PA comes and talks, then we can see that this is something which has some authority from up there. That's number one. But number two, Fred, let's not lose this conversation. Do you know why people were in the streets the other day? It's because of Ojwang. Now, today, I think it's today, the DIG is going to appear before the IPOA. You can hear the chairman of IPOA trying really to try to show confidence among Kenyans, because a lot of Kenyans are very, you know, they are very suspicious about whether they are going to deliver. But you can see he's saying, we must deliver this. Let's hope for the first time there's going to be some magic, and the IPOA is going to deliver. What Kenyans want is alignment of the person with the highest political responsibility on the killing of Ojwang. And so we are waiting, and I'm asking IPOA to fast track the process. The same way they moved with speed to get the killers of the MP. Where can he move on? People are watching the issue of DIG, because let's not get lost. Because I'm seeing something here. We all get involved with this good thing. Who is to blame? You know, all of us, we go now to watch Boniface, how he's going to do in hospital. We forget why people are on the streets. It's because of Ojwang and the criminal system working in police stations And the issue of always coming to put the fires, oh, we are going to do CCTV and all that. Some people need to step aside, by the way. The capacity of some people serving is questionable. So we are going back to the issue of white power. Kindly, we are watching and we are waiting. And we hope by the time the anniversary comes, one of the issues that will come up during the anniversary is the issue of the death of Ojwang. So we hope by that time, IPOA will have aligned DIG in court. At least then, people will begin thinking there is something happening. That is what people are saying. And so let's not use this, because you know how government works. You see the issue of a DIG here, you bring something else. You know, I don't know why this happened, to cover up that. So people are saying, excuse me, it's okay, but our eyes are on DIG. So IPOA, please, because you said you can do it, people don't trust you can do it, but because you have claimed you can do it, IPOA, kindly we want you to align DIG in court over the death of Albert Ojwang. That is where the whole issue is right now.
And this is a conversation that will continue even as we anticipate that anniversary 1 year after the events of June 25th last year. We do anticipate a lot of anarchy, probably, if I could say that. Because
I guess, no. Fred, I think if we have all watched the events of whatever has happened, the pain with young people, with parents, and the pain with what the economy is doing, we hope, let's be positive, we hope the young people will come.
Change?
No. Okay, let me tell you, so long as we are alive, Fred, so long as we are alive,
happened last year.
So long as we are alive, we want to be positive.
What is...
No, and we are appealing. Fred, listen, because for me, I'm alive, I'm a parent. One day I was shocked when my little girl told me that she wants to go outside there and join the people during last year, and they said, wow, please let's stop this. And we are discussing. So let me ask you, Fred, we are peaceful. We are hoping to be peaceful. Let's hope, Fred.
Is hope?
This is no.
Something.
No. Let me tell you what I'm looking at on Wednesday. Let me tell you what I'm looking at. No. Fred, let me tell you what I'm looking at on Wednesday. The young people wants to commemorate the people who died, the people who have disappeared since last year, and the people who are with the Woods. You have been learning stories about
the
people.
same conversation that we've never gotten to a conclusion.
Wait. Now,
is hope coming?
Can I tell you what I expect?
Why are you getting your hope from?
Let me tell you what I'm expecting for before next week. Let me be very candid with you. Number one, what I'm expecting as a Kenyan. One, we are commemorating people who disappeared. Can they be brought back? We want to commemorate people who died. Can they be compensated? Remember, everybody has been saying, please, the president of this country should call people, make them reappear, because he seems to know where they disappeared to, those who disappeared. Number two, call the parents of people, at least say, we may not do much compensation because they disappeared in the hearts of this country. Number three, let the person...
Very hopeful.
I'm just saying. And then, finally, let the young people come, do their program, let them have their musicians, the young people, let them dance the whole day and commemorate.
And it sounds very ideal.
I'm just saying.
Fred.
I am just saying.
I am
just saying.
Hope.
I am just saying.
Fred, Dr. Mbai.
I am just saying.
Fred, they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Unless we come up with a different way of how we are going to do things. And I've just given a very good example. Next week, we expect young people to come to the streets. Legitimate demonstrators, legitimate protesters who are going to come to the street. If we do not agree where they are going and how to identify them.
Just let them be.
So you let me finish. Boss, you have spoken. Let me finish.
Let them be.
Ama, you want to talk on my behalf?
Police, no police.
Okay.
Sasa wewe.
Go ahead.
No goons, no police.
If you allow me to speak, you can also have your own moment. If we agree that we are going to have demonstrators next week, if we do not, for example, agree how you are going to be able to tell a demonstrator from a goon,
it's clear.
If we don't agree, you get, because you see, when you see a young man in the street, the guys, I saw a terrible video of a lawyer who was carrying files. Alipiga corner. He found a bunch of guys. You know, when I thought about, tried to put myself in the shoes of that guy. Nobody walks into danger the way that guy walked into that danger. That guy walked holding his files, believing the group he's finding over there were not criminals. Right in the middle of them, they converted and they started robbing him, they beat him up, they took off, they tore his trouser. Now, if you ask that guy, how did you walk into that group? He'll tell you, man, me, I just saw a group of young people and I thought they were demonstrators. To get there, they became Criminals.
These are the goons.
So if we don't have a situation, because let me tell you, Fred, nobody's written criminal over here. Eh? Nobody. If you have 1,000 young people in the street, or 5,000 young people in the streets, or even 10,000 young people in the streets, we need to be able to know that all those 10,000 young people in the streets are actually legitimate demonstrators. Fred, you get what I'm saying? And that's what I'm talking about. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And this is what I'm saying. If we are going to have a demonstration that is not going to have violence, that is not going to have looting, that's not going to have vandalism, that's not going to have people getting injured and, God forbid, people getting killed, we need to have a structure of saying, this is a demonstrator, this is a goon. Number two, we need to be able to say, this is a policeman, this is a criminal. We need to be able to say that.
But we
you get what I'm saying?
But we know how goons
You get what I'm
come.
saying?
Gentlemen, already established
you need
that
to stop shouting.
We are not in control of anything.
Yes. So, and you see, that's what I'm saying. Because, and that's why I started by saying insanity is imagining things will be different if we don't deliberately change them. For me, I would want us to first deliberately change the structure of what's going to happen by next week. SEDA, I said the county commander, the regional commander already committed to give police security. We need SEDA to tell us there will be no policeman on the street who will have a mask, who will not be identifiable. There will be no car on the street, police car on the street that you cannot tell the number plate, right? So that we get that from the police and the security services. We need the demonstrators to tell us every demonstrator will look like this. Then we'll be able to identify the third group of people who are goons and deal with them.
Aren't we being too hopeful?
I think, Fred, you should drive this argument towards solution. Don't drive it to create more confusion.
I'm just going by what we've seen the past few days. I have no capacity to change things.
Now, don't ask. Allow me now to talk. Allow me now to talk.
Someone wants to ask you how to ask questions.
If we are talking about mounting demonstrations with a difference next week, because that's a constitutional right, those who would want to demonstrate, let's agree the police is in charge of all demonstrations and security of the city. Then the IG should be allowed to proceed and issue protocols on how the demonstrations will be managed by the security organs. It is not enough to say, hey, those who will be demonstrating will be protected. That is just a loose statement. You should be able to state from where to where the leaders who are leading report to the office of the IG and appraise the IG on the streets you would want to walk through and how many are you and all that. Because you don't just announce a demonstration that you don't know who are going to demonstrate. I think we'll be getting back to what Honorable Ngunjiria is talking about, doing things the same way. You will have more goons. And at the end of the day, Nairobi streets will be more insecure and businesses will be affected. Because in the day you announce a demonstration in Nairobi, people don't travel to town, there's no businesses. I don't think that is how the Constitution intended.
My concern is that we anticipate...
So as a beginning, as a country, can we let the IG issue protocols on how demonstrations will be conducted on that particular day? Short of that, then we are preparing for political anarchy. There will be no civilized demonstrations. There will be political confrontations. And we know.
And that is what we anticipate.
If the demonstrators will be coming to promote regime change, there are also residents in the city who don't want change in regime. So they will react politically.
Fred,
so
really, it's a lose situation.
It's not a simple thing. Let's tell ourselves the truth.
It's a very simple
Let the IG issue protocols. And if those protocols are issued, because the law is clear about demonstration, so we leave it is in the armpit of the police. Can everybody comply with the directives of the IG? The moment we don't comply with the directives of the IG, you want to do your own things and placate that is a constitutional right, then we are promoting chaos.
Very fine. In the simplest way, Fred, let's not make this thing academic. It's a very simple issue. The young people get to the streets, in the middle of the streets, singing very good songs. The work of police is to ensure nobody goes to root. But we have questions because yesterday we saw the police looting laptops.
They are singing from where? Who is the choir master? Who is the choir trainer?
Now, you see now, Mwalimu is telling me not to talk. He is now interfering with my... He is interfering with my last comment.
We must be very clear about the message.
No, Mwalimu, you are our Mwalimu.
It's a fact.
You said you want to give solutions.
Thank you.
I'm not seeing the solutions.
I'm giving... No. Fred, I'm giving solutions. I'm saying, Wednesday comes, right? The young people comes, and we know from history, the young people are normally unarmed. They don't root. They don't steal. They are young people.
So they have people who are looting at
wait a minute. Wait, I don't know why. I don't know why.
Do you have their names?
You see, now, everybody else,
you know them.
No,
that's not right.
Mbai is also very good at interrupting people.
Oh, now, I'm being interrupted.
Very scientific.
No.
These young men,
I am
you able to use their names.
In this one.
It is not your
chance. Thank you very much. Thank you, Fred. I'm just saying, let me repeat it here for record as I finish.
Yes.
It is possible on Wednesday for young people to come. Let them say what they want to say. Let them sing. So long as they are not hurting anybody, they are not burning any vehicle. But what we are suspicious about, that's what we had expected yesterday. But unfortunately, the police came and joined the goons. Literally, they were escorting them. And then, very unfortunate, who stole the laptops? And don't be told those things were exhibits or anything. The owner gave a witness. The owner said he saw the young people. He lent to police for protection. Can you imagine? That owner of the electronics shop. Then the police came and willingly pushed the goons away. Then it was like, there is something here. Do you know what happened finally? The goons came, broke to the shop, took the laptops, but he had kept some five of them somewhere hidden. The policemen came and took them. That is the kind of thuggery we are talking about.
Saying that we cannot trust the police to take control of the demos.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So what will happen on Wednesday, therefore? I will ask the police, please keep there to the lanes on the street outside there peacefully to avoid people looting. But now they are the ones looting the electronic shops. What are we going to do? So please, if the president as the head of security, the CEO of this country wants, there can be peace on Wednesday. If he wants, I can tell you the truth. Keep off the young people. Let them organize. By evening, they are all going to be tired and they are going to go home.
I don't think we are seeing any solution.
You see, Fred, that's what...
Well,
the agreement, I think we've decided that we've lost control.
Fred, the buck stops.
We anticipate.
Fred, the buck stops with the CEO.
This is what I wanted to say. First and foremost, let's stop trying to define demonstrators as young people. Because the people who are looting are young people. It's not old people. The people who are robbing people are young people. The people who are breaking into shops are young people. So we can't say that. Boss, see what I talk.
Goons.
No. But see what I speak.
No,
you know,
we're almost out of time.
No, see, what I'm saying is, whether they are sponsored or not, they are young people. And there's no young person written demonstrator on his forehead and another one written looter on his forehead. And I gave a very good example of that lawyer who found himself in the middle of guys who robbed him. So the question here is, so we are saying, so we have policemen lined up on the shops and all the young people in the middle. Now, if young people in the middle, we are now assuming all the young people on that street will be demonstrators. So we are, you know, goons and thugs are very self-motivated to come and rob, to come whether they're robbing telephones or whatever they're robbing. So if we agree that all the people in the street are young people, and if it is a young person, don't touch him. He must be a demonstrator. So who breaks shops? You know, Fred, you and I are not young people, and we are talking about goons like it's another breed of specimen that comes from somewhere that you can tell that this is a goon. Ukimwangalia tu hivi unajua hii ni goon. But when you're going to the street, the guys you're seeing on the street, the way those people are on the street, how are you going to tell who is a goon and who is a demonstrator? You know, that's my problem. So until we have a structure, and I know we all resist this. We all resist this structure, this thing of saying, you see, why NAT demos and nurses demos and doctors demos are legit and are easy to manage, those guys show up in lab coats or in uniform, right?
Colors.
You can tell, okay, if it is a Kotu demo, I mean, as much as they'll also have their own Jeshi Yamze, just taking care of making sure whatever is happening, but they're in uniform. The problem, do you get what I'm saying? The problem we are having is a situation where we are saying young people should be allowed to flood into the streets and not be held accountable by anyone. And then you see a 25-year-old goon. What is that? Isn't that a young person? what do you know? Do you get what I'm saying?
We are not in control of what is going to happen on Wednesday next week.
And we will not be in control unless we develop protocols for that Wednesday.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
If there are no protocols, then it will be chaos.
It will be anarchy again.
It will be anarchy, and you can't blame anybody. And I think going into the future, even Wednesday, for Wednesday, let the IG take full control and give protocol, and citizens comply with the directives of the police on that one. We are a country of the rule of law and constitutional order. We cannot violate the constitution, violate the law, violate rights of others, promote anarchy in the name of demonstration. That is wrong. And going into the future, demonstrations must be properly defined, and the people demonstrating must be distinct so that they are distinct from other people doing other things within the cities. Then probably they need to be in colors. If you're not in colors, then you're treated as a criminal. And that is what happens. If you go to South Africa, where demonstrations are an order of the day, they can demonstrate everywhere in the entire country for a whole day, for a specific time, say from 10 to 12, and the message is delivered, it is closed. It doesn't interfere. Such demonstration doesn't interfere with the vendors, with those who are in shops, with those who are traveling. So that demonstration is an activity that is so peaceful and that does not affect anybody walking within the city. Okay. Anything outside that, let's agree, is not demonstration. And the political parties and political leaders must know this type of demonstration, I think we are doing a disservice to the country. These are political confrontations.
And the question has been, what informs our conversations going forward? Given the fact that the events of last year have gone largely unattended, even as we anticipate to cover, to observe the anniversary 1 year later.
And then who was supposed to attend?
Conversation on this.
Who was supposed to attend?
As you make your final conversation.
Thank you.
Final comments on this. We have not attended to the issues that were raised last year. We've not probed the events of 25th of June. We're marking them 1 year later. What informs our conversation going forward?
Fred, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking that all the victims of what you are mentioning from last year, 25th of June, right from Lex Masai to Albert Ojwang the other day, to Boniface Mwangilai now fighting for his life.
Boniface Kariuki.
Boniface Mwangi Kariuki. These are sons and daughters of someone. These are friends, family of people. If we knew the pain, and of course others who are recuperating, and we have seen their stories there, literally people whose lives have been shattered. If we got that as leaders, if we knew these are sons and daughters of people, wives and husbands, our conversation would be different. Fred, if as leaders we would come to their level, try to understand what they are going through. People disappeared to date. They are not dead, they are not alive, disappeared. People dead. People literally selling their savings or using their savings to attend to their medical issues. If we could put ourselves in their shoes, our conversations today, talking about Wednesday, would be different. But sometimes, unfortunately, the leadership here stays somewhere up there. They have no understanding to feel the pain of the people. So what am I saying to answer your question, Fred? This government exists to do one thing called security for its people. Let the government, before Wednesday, admit that some people disappeared. Some people are dead. Some people are still incurring medical expenses. To just come and try to just say, this happened, you are our people, this happened, trying to manage the emotions of the young people. Let the people who did this thing to Ojwang be arraigned before Wednesday. I mean, I'm hoping it will be done. Let's hope the people who have done this thing of yesterday be arraigned, the people who sponsored goons. At least let's show that we understand the pain and the cry of the people of Kenya, from the young people to their parents. That's what I'm saying. We have a week. It can be done. Then let's try to just understand that we understand what the young people are talking about. If it happens, at least we can assuage the emotions. If it doesn't, unfortunately, the young people will come out to say, we are remembering Lex Masai, Albert Ojwang, his death. The young people from Nakuru, Derito, somebody else shot by police and all that. The young people have to come and show their emotions. But the question is, the buck stops with the president because he can manage all these things before Wednesday. Okay. It is possible, if there's a will.
My closing remarks. First, Right now, if you walk in the streets of Nairobi, there's no demonstration. There's no demonstration right now. But if you walk in the streets of Nairobi, you will find a policeman, you'll find a criminal, and you'll find a law-abiding citizen. Right now. If you walked anywhere in the streets of Nairobi right now. I don't know why we assume that when demonstrations are happening, these people disappear. You will have law-abiding citizens who are not part of the demonstration. You will have criminals who are not part of the demonstration. Then you'll have police officers who hopefully have come to secure the demonstrators. And then now you add the structured demonstrators. So in my opinion, until we have a structure that enables us to be able to tell criminals from law-abiding citizens during demonstrations, we are going to keep having anarchy. And criminals here are not just the people who are in civilian. Criminals also exist within the police force. The people who shot this guy, for lack of any other word, are criminals. They're just in the police force, right? The people who are looting are criminals. They are not policemen. We have, as Bai suggests, and I'm not going to argue with that point until we get evidence, there could be policemen who looted. They are criminals. So until we have a structure that is able to identify law-abiding citizens and criminals both from within the police force and the civilians on the streets during demonstrations, we are going to keep having anarchy.
Okay. Finally, one association. Wrap it up.
Yeah, I still insist. I think from this conversation, we've agreed the demonstrations that we have in the country are amorphous. They lack a leader, they lack a clear agenda, they lack a clear route where to demonstrate through, and they have not told us where they're taking their petitions to. So as long as it remains amorphous and amorphous as it is, then it will degenerate into anarchy. Going into the future, we must securitize our cities to ensure that there's order, and those working within the cities their rights are not infringed by the violent groups that are engaged in lawlessness in the name of demonstration. And this one, the city counties should be allowed to participate in enforcing security in the city in liaison with the National Police Service. And going into the future, there must be clear, strong protocols on how to guide demonstrations of whatever nature. Why is it that demonstration organized by unions and other organized groups are always peaceful? They can go on every day. It doesn't interfere with the traffic. It doesn't interfere with businesses. But when it comes to the so-called demonstrations, which are political, turn violent and destructive and disruptive. As a country, we must sit and think. And we cannot place the blame on anybody. If the question that you have asked, that somebody should have addressed the issues of 25th June, what were the issues? There are also a lot of violence and loss of life, disruption, pulling down the fence of parliament, destroying property inside parliament, desecrating constitutional institutions that ought to be protected, including the Supreme Court. It is something that dented the image of this country.
Do you find it curious that we've never discussed it after that?
And therefore, who was supposed to discuss? Did you drive the agenda even here in the media? The media in Kenya is feeling it negatively. Not pushing the country to a point of solutions. Let us all agree we have failed. The country has failed in dealing with.
Who runs the country?
And no, forget about that. Forget about that. What have you done yourself? You are aggravating. And when you talk of
where do you blame the media?
Come out. Who are these? Right. Do you know
the media covers what happened?
Going into the future,
blame the media.
We must develop a framework of sanity in demonstrations. Right. Anything outside that should be treated as crime. And if Wednesday events are going to generate into anarchy, to me, I'll not classify them as demonstration, but I'll treat them as violent political action that do not meet the definition of demonstration, which are envisaged in the Constitution.
The biggest concern right now is who is in control, who's going to take charge of even the events we're anticipating next week. From what we've seen the past 1 week or so, and the headlines we're reading, thug bosses, how chaos was planned in the city, do we even have hope to hang on to that things are going to be any better next week? This
Next week, when we come here on Thursday, we're just hoping we're going to have a better headline.
Yeah, so long as the government doesn't join the goons.
Allow me to acknowledge you, Asante Sana, Dr. Peter Mbai, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs of the DCP, Ngonjiri Wambugu, former MP Nyeri Town, and Wilson Sosion, who has served as Secretary General of the National Union of Teachers, KNUT, and also as a member of the National Assembly. Asanteni Sana for your very well-considered opinions on the issues of, especially of security, given the challenges that we're facing as a country around this time. After the break, we change the conversation to matters nutrition, health and nutrition. Kevin Mwangi, a nutritionist, will be in studio with my colleague Anno Dida. My name is Freddie Ndibumbi. Let's hope for better headlines tomorrow.